Hi, I'm Jeremiah Proffitt.
And I'm Chandra Proffitt. And today we're going to talk about the technical side of Land Cruiser building.
That's right. From now on in our episodes, we are going to focus a little bit more on all of the technical parts and actually the how-tos. Today we're going to do some sheet metal fabrication, talk about an H55F transmission installation, and all kinds of other technical stuff. So let's get started. So one of the technical questions we get all the time is about an H55F transmission. That's a Toyota 5-speed transmission sold in most of the other countries, not this one. Luckily, we could still get them brand new, and we put a lot of them in. Let's talk to Mark a little bit about the details of that. So this is an H55F transmission. It's already been completely assembled. Mark did that a couple of days ago. But the super common question is, which transfer case do I need? Because not all the transfer cases that Toyota made will fit on the back of it. So Mark, got some transfer case pieces here. What do we got?
One of the easiest ways we found externally to find out without having to tear it apart or do anything to it is, look, the later design will have two recesses here. One's for the switch and the other one's for the detent. This doesn't happen to have the detent because of the vacuum, but that, when it has that, we found it has the provision for the 5th gear oiler. It has to have this recess here once you get it all apart to make sure 5th gear gets the oil. Now this is an earlier version that is not correct. You'll see it only has the one switch hole, or actually that's probably detent, I would imagine actually. And then when you look on the front of the recess, there's no provision for the oil.
So you can't see that right with the transfer case and transmission until you take them apart.
Exactly, because this all actually bolts up and you actually have to split off the back part before you can even get to those bolts.
But a good visual indicator of whether or not the transfer case you have will work, right there.
2 holes, or at least 2 provisions for 2 holes.
So Mark, once you have the right transfer case and you know it's going to work and you're rebuilding it, what are some of the things you look for and make sure it's good?
Well, obviously you want to see all the parts and physically look and see if they're good. Sometimes you can't see if they're actually good, but rolling them, spinning them, if you look real close inside you can see it. It's easier on this one because it's a tapered bearing. You can actually see the wear on the bearings right on the surface, and that's a bad bearing. That's totally bad. That won't last long. In another case, it was actually this customer's, the one you'll see here in a minute. This is one of the shaft, and it actually is quite severely worn. If you see the squareness to that, where it has a square in the center, that's not supposed to be there. It has to be all nice and straight, similar to this, if you will. This one's worn too, but so there's things like that you want to look for. Worn teeth. The inside of this one's severely worn. This side of a different transfer case, but see how it's sharp teeth? Those are actually supposed to be square spline almost to match the shaft.
So from that rocking back and forth, forward, reverse, forward, reverse, forward, reverse, or accelerate, decelerate, it's just worn those splines out.
It has. And bearing wise, you get growl throughout any kind of ranges, whether it's throttle or cruise, or in the idler shaft you want to watch for. You get a lot of wear on the needle bearings on those, but pretty much just really get your hands on it and really look at it. And usually it's pretty obvious too. You can tell by the drain in the fluid.
Yeah.
You have dark color or
metal, bad stuff.
Metal, any noise.
Yep. Hey, thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
So this is an H55F, and you can tell it's an H55F because 5th gear is right here in this housing, which actually separates from the transmission. And right here is the linkage that makes 5th gear go in and out. And so it's attached through the shift mechanism here through this piece of linkage. The transmission and transfer case from a lot of FJ60s actually has this housing. It's about the second half of 1985 and newer. Has this housing. That's an H42 transmission, which is a 4-speed, but they have this empty 3-inch housing here, and you'll know that it's from an 85.5 or newer because it doesn't have the linkage. It's got this housing, but it doesn't have the linkage. Before that, this transfer case is actually all the way up here, and this spacer is missing. And that doesn't mean that your transfer case won't work with the H55F. It just means that you have to take it apart and look to see if that provision is there that Mark talked about, or if it has those 2 external castings that we talked about a few minutes ago. This H55F is an awesome transmission, and we use them all the time. So here at Proffitt'S Resurrection Land Cruisers, we do a lot of engine conversions. And when we want to stay all Toyota with our engine conversions, this right here is the engine of choice. This is a 3FE, and Toyota made the 3FE from 1988 to 1992. It was in the 62 series and the 80 series. And it is a 4-liter straight 6, and what's cool about it is a little bit more modern than the 2F, and it's got fuel injection that makes it a lot nicer to have in the mountains when you're changing altitude and when it's cold on those winter mornings and you just want to turn the key and not fiddle with the choke. So we do a lot of 3FE swaps. There's 3 here right now that we'll take some looks at, but awesome engine that Toyota makes, very popular, love it. Most of the time when we install a 3FE, we install it in front of an H55F, which we showed you earlier in the video. Sometimes we use the A440 automatic transmission that came behind them. But in any case, the 3FE is a great option for FJ40s. So we pulled in Eddie's FJ45 to show you the 3FE, but it dawned on me how cool is it that we've got 3 of the 40 series Toyota blues that they offered right here in the shop. We got a Horizon blue FJ40 behind us, or horizontal blue, depending upon what book you're looking at. And then this is a river blue FJ45 pickup, and then there was that sky blue FJ40. So all we're missing is Nordic blue, the darker one. Let's check out the 3FE.
A lot of what we do here requires parts that you can no longer get or need to be fabricated from scratch. Alex here can fabricate just about anything from nothing. In this case, Alex is making floor pans for a Land Cruiser that we're going to put a roll cage in. Alex
built a die for our press to press out the factory looking bumps in sheet metal like this. We've got about 5 or 6 of these things that we use to simulate different original Land Cruiser floor pans.
And here we have Casey, who's working on the Land Cruiser that Alex made the piece for. He's going to replace this floor pan here, which you can see is rusted out and completely useless.
Yeah, so today I'm visiting here for a couple days, and they put me on this Land Cruiser that they pulled the roll cage out to do a 6-point roll bar, and underneath it, it was all rotted out. So I'm here today cutting out the old nasty stuff and getting ready to put in the new pieces that Alex made for me.
So Alex and Casey were working on some rust on a project in there, and this is Clint, and he's working on some rust fix in here. Clint, what's up?
Oh, just got a last patch here on the corner, and I made a piece to throw in there. All the corners on this FJ45 pickup top were pretty bad, so underside and top, so we're just making patches for that. So
get rid of the rust.
Yeah.
They say rust never sleeps. What's the only way to get rid of rust?
Cut it out.
Cut it out.
Cut it out and start over. On this top, I replaced the bow support ends, a bunch of the rain gutter pieces on the bottom, bolts, whatever was stripped or broken off has all been dealt with.
Look what just showed up while we were filming this episode of Proffitt'S Resurrection Land Cruisers TV. Another Cummins 2.8-liter turbo diesel engine. It's no wonder that we're doing a lot more of these conversions. It's a great engine, I just can't say enough about it. I've driven it in the 79 series that we have here. Awesome engine. Really impressed with its performance.
So now we're back in the body shop, and this is Matt. You saw what we did with the sheet metal and the fabrication over there. Usually after it's done there, it comes in here. And what do you guys do with it?
Well, once the metal work's been done on the panels, it comes over to us in the body shop side of things. And what we're going to do is do some treatments to the metal, and that is basically in means of providing corrosion protection. We'll apply a high build epoxy directly to the metal, do any kind of filler and body work that's necessary on top of that, do some block sanding. Then we'll follow it up with a couple coats of a urethane primer surfacer, and we will use that as your finish sanding and blocking coat to make everything smooth and even. And after that, you'll be ready for paint. We do these processes to ensure that you have a long-lasting, beautiful rig, and also to have that corrosion protection. There's many products available now that weren't available back in the day, and we're staying on the forefront of that and any new developments to ensure that the work we do lasts a generation.
One of the most important things about building Land Cruisers of this caliber, and probably the most difficult, is to finish strong. We use this word a lot in our meetings and how we do things. Bob here, who's our body shop foreman, as well as our quality control guy, is just putting on the final touches to make sure that this Land Cruiser indeed finishes strong.
So as a quality control supervisor, one of my main goals is to thoroughly inspect each project to make sure that our team finishes strong. When the project is nearing completion, I go through and make sure everything is clean, assembled correctly, and meets the Proffitt'S resurrection standards. I believe it's the small details that make the difference and set us apart from the rest.
You can't tell, I'm a big fan of Bilstein shocks, and it's not because of the cool glasses. It is because we use Bilstein shocks on everything almost, and we have had zero problems. These 8125 coilovers are our shock of choice for rock crawler, and this Forerunner rock crawler is going to be fantastic with them. We've also got them on the Spring Green FJ40 rock crawler. We use Bilstein 5100 series shocks on all of our restorations because you can order them in any length and with different valving, so they work with all of our custom suspensions. So hats off to Bilstein.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Proffitt'S Resurrection Land Cruisers TV. Be sure to check out our other episodes for lots more.
On Instagram, we are @ProCruiser. Facebook is Proffitt'S Resurrection Land Cruisers, and our website is resurrectionlandcruisers.com. Thanks again.
Thank you for watching.
So that isn't even the end of my loyalty. Check this out. Bilstein socks.
Audio rolling?
Camera rolling.
There's a spider. There's a spider. It's coming right at me. My wife would relocate that spider to a safe haven where it could have thousands of babies that come back and try to kill me later. Somebody kill that thing. Okay, here we go.
The torque is good. He hates pushing.
Caesar likes Bilstein shocks too.
I will.
Everything is awesome.
Part of a team.